Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles Sabans. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a crazy show for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And be sure to hit all notifications to be notified the second we publish our content here. This is going to be one of them crazy type of shows. Why? As you guys know, the Lakers won the play-in game yesterday against the New Orleans Pelicans in a 110-106 victory. Very, very close game. Very, very entertaining. If you watched the game like most of us did, you would notice that Brandon Ingram didn't play in the fourth quarter. Didn't play really much minutes. He played a lot in the first half, obviously, and he played in the third quarter. But he did not play the fourth quarter, and towards the waning moments of that game, you could see, Brandon Ingram looking a bit perturbed, sitting on the bench, and I was a bit perplexed why he wasn't playing. Nevertheless, Pelicans end up losing the game, and it was what it was. Then today, I was kind of waiting to hear what some of the bigger shows were going to say in reaction to what took place yesterday. So I heard Skip and these guys react to it. I'm going to see what they're going to say on First Things First and other shows. But then I tuned into ESPN First Take. And on today's show, you had Molly Karam, Stephen A. Smith, Chris Mad Dog Russo, and Brian Windhorst. So the first person that spoke was Stephen A. Smith spoke, responding to something, and I think Chris Mad Dog spoke. Then Brian Windhorst spoke, and then finally Stephen A. Smith spoke. And before he got into his monologue, he said there were a few things that he wanted to address. And he started off with the Pelican side of things. And then he started to talk about Brandon Ingram in a way that I really couldn't believe. Because essentially, he accused the man on live TV of essentially showing up to NBA games high. He didn't say the word, but we all knew what he was referring to. And I was absolutely taken aback by that, because I'm like, why would you say this, number one? And number two, why is this even on your mind? Now, for those of you who maybe didn't hear that, we want to get into that now. But before we even get into that, this video is brought to you by our sponsor, PrizePicks, which is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. PrizePicks is really simple. Instead of just selecting a team, you just select two or more players, pick more or less their projected stats, and then you place your entry. For example, this week, I'm selecting two entries. Stephen Curry for more than 25 points, and then I got Anthony Davis for more than 2 blocks, and Damian Lillard for more than 4 3-pointers made. PrizePicks is also the only daily sports platform with an injury insurance policy. So for example, if you have a player who gets injured in the first half and doesn't return to the second half, that player gets automatically rebooted. What I also love about PrizePicks is that it offers weekly promotions like Taco Tuesdays. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do is want to play exactly what Stephen A. Smith had to say about Brandon Ingram yesterday. And then we're going to come back and really get into the meat and potatoes of this show. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
Brandon Ingram. I'm not giving him the max. And I usually don't say stuff like that because I love the brothers to get paid. I love them to get their paper. I love them to get money. But let me just say this as diplomatically as I possibly can. When you look at his face, he consistently looks a bit detached, dare I say. Just doesn't seem to be all there. And I'm going to leave it at that. Now, let me tell you something. He was gone for 12 games. And I understand that. He had an injury. I get that. And we know that Brandon Ingram is a big-time talent. We don't see it enough. We don't see it enough. And I look at him, physique looks the same, game looks the same, doesn't seem to be growing and evolving. That's hard to invest in. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, when people invest money in you, one part is because of your production. The other part is because they trust that you will continue to produce. And I don't know if the word trust can be associated with Brandon Ingram at this point. He needs to show me something against Sacramento. That's number 2.
So you heard what he had to say. My first thoughts in hearing Stephen A. Smith say that is like, bro, son, you grimy, man. You kind of grimy for that one. It's important that I say that no one is perfect. It's important that I say that we all, from time to time, especially those of us talking in sports media, from time to time, we can have a gaffe. We can say the wrong thing. No one is perfect. I'm not perfect. The next guy isn't perfect. So there are going to be moments where we say the wrong thing, right? And I think that the mature thing to do is during those moments when you say something that's wrong, you apologize for. I remember the time, I believe it was a year ago, where LeBron was having some injury issues, and I was like, well, Shannon Sharp was lying, and then it turned out it wasn't that he wasn't lying. I did one of the shows where I was apologizing to Shannon Sharp publicly. I'm like, I apologize for saying that. I should not have said that. That was wrong, right? That was wrong of me. There was another time when I was going to Gilbert Arenas, and I took it personal, and then he responded, and I told him, first of all, it was 100% wrong on my part for crossing the line and going personal. I apologize. There's nothing wrong with that. When you're wrong, you're wrong. But in the case of Stephen A. Smith, he has a pattern of saying really grimy stuff about people, man. Even with the Max Kellerman thing going on the Joe Budden podcast, calling Lamar Odom a crackhead on TV, talking about Kwame Brown ad nauseum, making fun of the Nigerian players' names, one after the other. But in this particular instance, you're analyzing the game and you're looking towards the future. But in the case of the Pelicans, they're still going to play another game tomorrow night to secure the 8th spot. And you're talking about who they should trust and all of that. Then you get to Brandon Ingram and you start talking about the guys, basically how he looks, talking about he looks like he shows up to games high. Now, I've seen Brandon Ingram 100 times. He seems like a sleepy-eyed dude. Has a thought ever crossed my mind? Probably. But is this something that I'm going to say? No. The reason why I'm not going to say it is because it adds absolutely nothing to a critical analysis. You're just dissing a dude for no damn reason. And to go that far, and you're talking about, oh, he doesn't deserve his money. It's not like as if we're talking about a Ben Simmons who has a chronic past of just showing up, stinking up the place, causing problems like the way he did in Philly and all of those. We're not talking about that. Somebody that was just belligerent, refused to show up to work. In cases like that, it is justified because the person is doing things that warrants it. But in the case of Brandon Ingram, the guy just didn't play. You know, and I listened to the coach at the end of the game talking about they were trying to ramp him up and all of that. Listen, I thought that was a little bit overboard, and I think that was unnecessary. Looking like he shows, what was the purpose of that? What did that add to the analysis? Nothing. Absolutely, positively nothing. Nothing. If he looks like he's high, do you know he's high? If you don't know he's high, don't say it. I just think that he saw another opportunity to say something grimy about somebody, and he went for it. To me, that was just absolutely unnecessary. Calling a dude, talking about he coming up to games looking high. Like, yo, bro, what's going on? Like, yo, what are we doing, man? Like, that wasn't necessary. Like, that was uncalled for, was unnecessary. But that's y'all, man. Like, when people point it out, some people get it, oh, you hating on Stephen A. Smith. But son has a history of saying wild things about people, man. You heard him talking about your boy, Max Kellerman. Marcellus Wiley had to jump in. Talking about Max Kellerman he doesn't get these views. When we're checking into, you know, what people are saying out there, he's not really tracking. Listen, let me break it down real quick for the people that may not know. In the sports media space, there are only a very few amount of people that are actually getting views. At least the views that Stephen A. Smith is talking about. They're very, very few. That I'm talking about, they give opinion on a daily basis. They're very few. I can list some of them for you. Gil's Arena gets a lot of views. Cam and Mace get a lot of views. Shannon Sharp show, although not Nightcap, not Club Shay Shay, Nightcap to a certain extent, they get a lot of views. You know, a few others. Stephen A. Smith's show, he has a leg up. And he's still not maxing it out because Stephen A. Smith has his own show. Number 2, he's already a personality, so YouTube is going to boost his views regardless of whether or not it's good or not. Then on top of that, they produce his show. They release clips of his show on ESPN's bigger YouTube channel, which has millions and millions and millions and millions of subscribers. And some of those clips don't even pop on the major platform. And Stephen A. Smith, before he got into the space, was talking about, I generate 2 billion views. Where in the world do you generate 2 billion views a year? Where? Who? How? He doesn't generate 2 billion views. How can you generate 2 billion views and you get 15,000 views on a video with a channel that has over 6? It's impossible. He doesn't generate 2 billion views. Stephen A. Smith thinks extremely high of himself. When he leaves that corporate umbrella, he comes into the real world where the real competition is, when you can't rely on celebrities every single day to pull you into their show. Then we're going to see who's what's what, and who is who. But that was foul. Like, these are my thoughts. Some of y'all can think I'm bugging, but I thought that was just ridiculous and, most importantly, unnecessary. Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comments. We catch you on the next show. Peace.